chupacabras, giant arachne, Daedric horrors, and all misshapen abominations doomed to extinction. These stories of long forgotten ages, theories of alternate worlds parallel to our own, all are machinations of a twisted mind of superstition, illness, and insanity. But they were all there before the folding, the great dimensional collapse leading to the creation of a new world. Only memories remained as shadows on the land, cursed and shrouded in mystery. John Wilkes, 1811. The lowlands of the rivers and lakes stretched across the interior of the continent. If one takes an old highway north towards civilization, and by chance turns towards the river down a bent path, they will encounter a lonely hamlet, Sombre. The village of Squalor huddles to the river, surrounded by a deep, dark mire. The ancient swamp oak forests are low and festering, the ugly bent path cutting through it like a drunken woodsman. The village was founded by foreign industrialists, settlers greedy for its perceived resources of oil and wood. The natives had avoided the area for millennia due to what the legends and oral stories deemed to be unnatural, a perverse choke of the Great Spirit. The bordering villages of Port Lambton and Wilkesport had similar ambitions, but what they could not know manifested, triangulated these locations as the foundation for wicked geomancy, a summoning of unknown horrors of the past, present, and future. Only the stories and whispers of their ancestors remained. The pioneers and founders of the villages, all their efforts in vain. The triangle of Port Lambton, Wilkesport, and Sombra had all been rebuilt upon the ashes of that olden time, of generations lost. A great battle fought between the natives, the pioneers, and the great industrialists of those foul foreign global superpowers. The conflicts and battles raged and converged on the area in 1812. All was burned and murdered. The colonial zealots victored over the natives and pioneers alike. Although they feared the area and loathed the paltry resources there, they knew that they were not worth the effort of occupation. Not long after the war, vagabonds, outcasts, and criminals alike flocked to the putrid, swampy shores of Sombra and the port of Lambton. They journeyed up the Sydenham River to reoccupy the dense undergrowth of Wilkesport. The economic downturn and times of trouble led to slothfulness and decadency. The lands beyond the Triangle flourished in the following decades with hope and fortune. The Triangle, however, was filled with cowardice and loathing, as it only had itself to blame for decades of backwardness. In 1920, the poor inhabitants of Sombra were visited by a lofty, wandering band of fortune-tellers, gypsies, like a blind moth fluttering to some darkened torchlight. The charismatic and beautiful Sheila Baranowski, leader of the gypsy band, gracefully entered the Grand Hotel Tavern. On the dim shore of St. Clair River, near an abandoned ferry, stood that wicked establishment. The weak and invalid hotel was founded by the notorious smuggler Al Capone. The establishment's roof was green with algae, slumping with subsidence, and groaned like some pelagic horror as it shuddered with the cool fall evening breeze. Mr. Capone had won the economic battle for the illegal importation of bitter alcohol and firewater. The inhabitants of Sombra had become drunk with sadness and jealousy for their perceived misfortune, and Mr. Capone profited from it. Sheila burst through the door with a graceful and elegant feminence, as her troop stayed behind in the tavern, huddled in the dimly lit corner booth. Al Capone sat in his office, feet on his desk, boiler hat tipped over his eyes. He woke from a drunken slumber to the sight of the demonic angel that was Mrs. Baranowski. Sheila was dressed in a black robe dyed with boiled goat's blood and black walnuts. Adorned with silver and fool's gold jewelry, her scent was an earthy patchouli and lilac. Her fingers stretched out with golden death head rings and faded runic tattoos. "Pleased to meet your loveliness," said Mr. Capone, as he rose to kiss her outstretched hand. "A pleasure. I must say your presence is greater than your reputation," she spoke eloquently. Mr. Capone was a sucker for compliments, and he seemed to be lulled into Sheila's aura of charm and seductiveness. "I've come for business." She looked at him with desire-soaked eyes, saying one thing but meaning another. "I need 40 cords of liqueur in exchange for your unwavering attention, a certain matter of ancient treasure in which I've divined its location for your convenience. Old Wilkes' fortune." Mr. Capone was taken aback. The thought of all of Wilkes' holdings lost to time? He was consumed by the thought of more power and riches. During the war, Wilkes had supposedly gained the favor of a powerful spider-like demoness to hide the whereabouts of his family's fortune from the looting armies of the industrialists. The militia searched the bog around Wilkesport for weeks. Half the army had succumbed to a mysterious plague, assumed to be malaria. The other half were starved with famine, and crazed with sightings of unnatural creatures lurking near the river. They failed. Only a few survived to tell the tale. "I'm interested, and you will certainly have my attention, although 40 cords is quite a sum for mere speculation. I assure you my visions are real, and it is attainable from a man of your competency. 20 cords, and another 20 upon safe retrieval of the treasure," Capone said in a stern yet unsure voice.